Hi, you've got a TV remote, and while switching channels, you spot this Irish guy in a sharp suit, walking in slow motion with his crew. Mesmerized, you Google it. Peaky Blinders and the main man, Tommy Shelby. Here it comes. Light a cigarette, pour a whiskey, think about the war. He came back from World War I like every man with PTSD and ambition, ready to conquer the world or die trying, preferably while wearing a three-piece suit and whispering about strategy like it's foreplay. His family's already in the crime biz, Peaky Blinders, baby, named after those oh-so-theoretical razor blades sewn into their caps. And Tommy, he's not here to run some cutesy back-alley bookie ring. He wants to rule the city, the country, your heart, maybe God, who knows. He plays chess while everyone else is eating crayons. Season 1, it all starts with Tommy trying to rig a horse race. Cute, right? Just a harmless, warm criminal with a plan. Except he accidentally steals a shipment of guns from the British government like, oops, how do you accidentally steal military-grade weaponry? Tom Shelby, that's how. Enter Inspector Campbell, the human equivalent of a migraine in a suit. The government sends him to clean up Birmingham. Tommy sends him on a downward spiral of ego, betrayal, and casual arson. Well, it's beautiful. Also, Tommy meets Grace, the sweet barmaid with eyes full of secrets and a British intelligence badge hidden in her corset. Spoiler, she's a spy. Tommy falls in love anyway because nothing gets this man going like a morally conflicted blonde with a gun and a tragic backstory. Season 2, welcome to Tommy's villain era. So now Tommy's got money, swagger, and enemies crawling out of every chimney. He sets his sights on expanding to London, aka pick a fight with the Italians, the Jews, and the gods themselves. We meet Alfie Solomons, the only man alive who can out-talk Tommy and smell like bread while doing it. Tommy also smashes heads, smokes enough to murder a camel, and casually burns all his emotional attachments while whispering about what? Business. Grace shows up again. This time, she's pregnant. Not dead. Surprising. Not for the Peaky Blinders. Tommy forgives her because, of course, he does. She's Grace. She could shoot him in the leg and he'd be on his knees proposing. And he kind of does. Engagement party incoming. Cut to the finale where Tommy almost murdered in a field by government goons, but they also don't kill him. Why? Because the British crown kinda needs him now. They just look at this man and said, yep, traumatized war crime lord. Let's keep him on the payroll. If you didn't flinch at that decision, you're exactly the kind of viewer we need. Hit subscribe and like. We've got more madness where that came from. Season 3, nothing says marriage like explosions in Russian spies. So Tommy finally gets married to Grace and everything is beautiful for exactly 11 seconds. Then she gets shot at their wedding because of course she does. Because happiness is illegal in this show, right? Well, Grace dies and so does Tommy on the inside. He becomes a ghost wrapped in a suit. He starts dealing with Russian aristocrats, communist threats, the Economic League, and a literal sapphire curse, because why not throw in magic while we're at it? He also hands his infant son to some sketchy priest, government freak, and says, take him, I have an empire to run. Like, sir, that's a whole baby, your baby. By the end, everyone's arrested, and it was about damn time anyway. And we mean everyone. The family, the staff, the guy who irons Tommy's shirts, what? But Tommy pulls a classic Shelby and gets them all out by betraying everyone, including his soul. Season 4, it's vendetta now, baby. The Italians are back and they are pissed. Luca Changretta, straight out of New York and full of revenge, starts killing Shelby like he's collecting them. Tommy's not even pretending to be mentally stable anymore. He's casually putting hits on people while coding Latin. He's running on grief, guilt, and grin. We lost John, which hurts like hell. Arthur fake dies for a minute, and is still the most underrated character alive. And Polly's out here doing witchcraft and threatening men with cigarettes. Then Tommy kills Luca, naturally, and not before teaming up with Alfie Solomons again, who betrays him again, gets shot in the face again, and still doesn't die again. But wait. Plot twist. Tommy becomes a member of parliament because we've officially entered why the hell not phase of the show. Season 5. Welcome to the season of depression, fascism, and more fascism. This one is just Tommy's mental breakdown season. He's haunted by grays, hallucinating horses, and screaming into mirrors, and just like that, welcome to politics, baby. Oswald Mosley shows up, real-life fascist, absolute slime ball. Tommy tries to infiltrate his ranks and then assassinate him on live television, because why not? Add public murder to your CV. But guess what? Someone betrays Tommy. The plan failed so miserably. Mosley lives. Veronica dies. Apparently nobody who smiles is allowed to survive on this show. The finale ends with Tommy pointing a gun at his own head in a misty field. Cliffhanger, cue emotional damage. Season 6, was this the end or the start of the end? Tommy's alone now. Polly's dead, R.I.P. Queen of Chaos. Because someone just had to be dead every season. Michael wants revenge. Ed is trying to be the new adult in the room. Tommy's just wandering around Ireland, America, and his own subconsciousness. He finds out he has a brain tumor.
Now you have a new one inside you. You cannot defeat it.
Or so he thinks. He starts giving away his wealth, settling scores, and doing some last-minute redemption arc speedrunning. And he even lets Arthur live, which is generous considering Arthur spent half the season looking like a cryptide. Meanwhile, Michael's busy being annoying. Lizzie's finally had enough of Tommy's a good man who does bad things for good reasons. Nonsense. She walks, and what do? We clap. This is probably one of the only finales with something good coming out of it. Turns out the tumor is fake. Someone tried to manipulate Tommy into suicide and almost succeeded. But you can't kill a ghost with cheekbones. Tommy burns his stuff, leaves the old world behind, and rides off like a cowboy into God knows what. So who was this guy? Tommy Shelby was a soldier who came home and tried to build an empire out of ashes. A man who buried every ounce of hope under whiskey and warplanes. A brother, a father, a husband, a monster, a savior, and a hell of a liar. He saved everyone but himself. He lost everything that wasn't nailed down and somehow lived. Crazy, right? He doesn't just disappear, he lingers. Like gunpowder, like guilt, like perfume in someone who never came back. He might have ridden off into the fog on a stolen horse and half lie, but you don't bury men like him. You immortalize them. Every plan, every stare, every time he said, "I have no limitations," and then actually proved it. And what's left in his wake? A family full of ghosts and grief. Arthur barely breathing, barely human, still trying to make peace with a world that took everything except his addiction. Michael, dead and bitter, because you never win when you bet against Tommy Shelby. Edda, walking that impossible line between politics and blood, because someone has to keep the name Shelby from becoming just another crime story in a dusty file. And then there is Charlie, his son. The only soft spot Tommy never quite figured out how to armor. He wanted to protect the boy from life, from the curse, from himself, but turns out that kind of clean break doesn't exist when your father is the literal storm everyone else runs from. And don't forget the Empire, because oh yeah, Tommy didn't just run from some pub or steal a few race horses. He built an actual criminal industrial machine that stretched across borders, classes, and belief systems. People feared him, worshipped him, betrayed him, and still called him back when things got serious. He spoke to men like kings into kings like men. He put bullets into futures and turned strategies into seduction. He didn't just survive the game, this guy rewrote it. And yet, behind every move, every speech, every glass of whiskey, there was always that same dead stare, not empty, calculating. And if Tommy Shelby had already seen the ending, already buried every version of himself that could have chosen a different life, and just kept marching through it anyway. Because the truth is, he was never chasing peace. He was chasing control. And when control slipped, he burned the world to get it back. Maybe somewhere out there he's still alive, not in body, but in blueprint. Every ruthless politician, every cold-eyed CEO, every man who wears silence like a suit, and loyalty like a loaded gun, they're all just echoes. Faint ripples from the explosion that was Tommy Shelby, because he wasn't a gangster. He had an idea, a warning, a prayer muttered through clenched teeth and cigarette smoke. And now we wait, because if there is one thing we know, you don't end Thomas Shelby. You just hope he's not coming back. Not tonight, not for you. You don't finish Peaky Blinders thinking, wow, what a cool gangster. You finish it clutching your soul, whispering, someone give that man a hug, therapy, and 30 years of sleep. But no, that's not just in his fate, is it? Instead, he got a legacy, a gun, and in the end, silence. But was Tommy Shelby ever truly a hero, or just a well-dressed villain with better lines? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like and share if you're torn. And if you thought he was unhinged, wait till you meet a talking baby with a murder complex. Subscribe for that madness.